Hi and welcome to this video. Okay, so recently I've been converting all my old VHS tapes into my laptop into a digital format so I could preserve them forever and get rid of hundreds of VHS tapes that are just in my loft and in my house. Yep, so just to save a lot of space, it's time to get rid of VHS tapes. So this tape here is a tape I made when I was at E3 in 1998, and I found it. I thought this might be interesting for some people. It's just a whole bunch of games. I'm going to leave the whole recording as it was, as I found it, and you can go through it, check it out, and you can see Richard Garriott talking about his latest Ultima game at the time, and I'll put a mark in the description to show you where that starts. So you can jump straight to it if you wish. But I hope you enjoy it. It's quite a grainy old video, but it just shows you what was going on at E3 in 1998. I filmed quite a bit. It's about 45 minutes, but you can click through it and you might find it useful. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching.
Just run through this space here. This looks kind of messed up and dangerous, and there's why. As you can tell, Ultima combat has never been this visceral. The Avatar has numerous different attacks. He also has numerous different weapons. Each weapon is going to have its own properties, its own set of moves, and will affect monsters differently. Little special move here. Alright, let's turn that off. Let's get another light spell going. Cue the camera. The world is still interactive, and and detailed like you'd expect from an Ultima, just with new technology. Let me back up here a sec. Hit the button. Take the spikes away. That ball that's following me around actually has its own AI. It's trying to keep up with me as best as it can, given its flight parameters. Try to get into an open area. We're about to go to another level, and you'll notice there will be no load time. It's a completely continuous world. Let's see what we can show you here. Come a few skeletons. That's normally where we demo our underwater combat. We're going to avoid it for the time being because we want to get both above ground and below ground into this demo. I just hit some wheels. Let me just light myself up permanently here. Actually, better yet, why don't I just cast a spell that'll give me some light. This is the Infernal Armor spell. Anything that fights me while I'm wearing it gets damaged. Try to show you that by fighting the skeleton and not pulling out my sword. But like I mentioned,
infinite megahertz.
Infinite megahertz. What do you have to say to Laura?
Laura, I just want you to do one thing for me. Look into our camera and say, "Hi, Jeff. You missed me."
That's later.
Hey, you're passing up your Polaroid, Jeff. That's probably as close as you'll get to it. You better jump in there, Jeff.
You better touch her now.
Yeah. Hey, what do you want to say?
Who thinks
Get
you're
that pink
qualified?
on there.
All right!
Hey, little buddy, what's up?
Woo! I think they make a pretty cool couple.
Nice ones too.
You see any guys out there going as big as him?
Take two of those, Jimmy.
Let's see some muscle.
Yeah, let me see some arms. Let me see some muscle. There's a guy here yesterday, man. I like chicks with guns. That's it.
And you've got some muscle power in the back. Do you think he can do the job? Is he capable?
What's your name, man? Todd. Todd, I want to... I got the fries for those shakes. Oh, wow. These fries come with that shake, he said. I got a little one on it.
This is Jason.
I doubt it.
How are you going to back yourself up?
I'm not saying anything. What this rubber fashion trend? He hopes the rubber fashion trend catches on. What?
make that smooth. I wonder if maybe I climb up on this thing. So I'll have to go back this other way. Or actually, let me go ahead and I'm going to step back out of the game again, and I'll relaunch somewhere else. And while I'm relaunching, I'll see if anybody has any other questions again. Yeah. Now when you go to the wall and you turn the candlestick on the wall and the secret door opens, that's exactly what you see happen. In 2D, you're always kind of faking and fudging how things work, and you've always got the problems of, since it's not really 3D, if you make an explosion go off and something gets hidden behind the wall, you're screwed. You know what I mean? In the sense of you're trying to always hack reality into something that's not really reality. Once you go to 3D, it means we can do real physics, make the door really swing correctly, and you can now really block the door correctly with real stuff. It takes much of the hacking out of the code, much of the struggle of faking it out of the code, because now we're creating a real living, breathing place. And ultimately, in my mind, when VR hardware ever makes it, which is a long time off, I want Ultima to be the very first ever completely virtual world. We're already doing things like, the H3D 3D glasses that EA distributes. Back in the office, we already have it running with those H3D glasses. It looks cool, because when you're seeing a 3D world in 3D, it's something. It makes it even more and more real to you. So I'm a big 3D fan, as long as it does not interfere with the detail of the world that I'm trying to go to. So the question was, is that why there's so much time between 8 and 9? Actually, no, there's a couple of reasons why there's so much time. There's like 3 reasons why there's so much time between 8 and 9. First reason is, the Ultima 9 was originally started by Warren Spector. I was actually completely, in fact, it was my brother, the general manager of Origin, retired. So I was actually general manager of Origin for a while. I wasn't even in game development. That was a job I didn't like. So when I came back into developing, that's when I was not happy with the way Warren was driving Ultima 9. So we actually stopped the first Ultima 9, which was really Ultima 8's engine, Ultima 9. Then we started it with a 3D software rasterizer that ran something like... what we did is we were originally going to do it before 3D hardware really came out. We started developing it in 3D, but with a fixed overhead perspective and no parallax in the lines. So, for example, I've still got the camera mode. This is actually, well, it also looks like it might. Hang on a second. Well, hang on a second. Let me try that again. You also, by the way, can play it first person if that's the way you like. But the way we were doing it before in software was you'd always see it from this overhead perspective. And you'd use your hand to kind of indicate which way you wanted to go. Now, we're not still supporting that, which is why the guy is going just straight ahead. But you would kind of grab things with your hand, and by fixing the camera overhead, it minimized the amount of polygons on screen. And so we had them successfully going in software. And actually still, we're going to probably still support software for those people who don't have hardware acceleration. Like, for example, even though the United States is pretty much everybody has 3D hardware in the United States, in Europe, that's not true. The European countries have been much slower to adopt 3D hardware, so we'll probably support software mode for those markets. Now, actually announced, even though I've said it, but yes, it is a full 3D game, so it's a lot like Ascension in its basic makeup. But that's, sometime off. So the question is, how big is the worldwide sales of all the Ultimas down through the years? And honestly, I don't know the answer. I mean, it's in the millions, quite a few millions. Most Ultimas sell in the multiple hundreds of thousands, 300,000 to 400,000 units apiece. So I rarely sell in the million unit range, usually in the 300 to 400. Although, fortunately, this Ultima we really think is not only going to appeal to the normal 300,000 or 400,000 people that buy Ultimas, but we really believe by just doing those simple things of easing people into role-playing games. Now, I think a true hardcore role-playing game is a fabulous game that just scares a lot of people off. So we're doing a lot of things to just not scare off people needlessly, and we think that we can make this game appeal to a much broader audience. About 50-50. 50 in the United States, 50% using it outside the United States. Sorry? Said that something is important, right? So it is important to do software because that's half the market. Exactly. Any more questions? So he said he noted this is the end of the trilogy of trilogies. Kind of what's the future? I actually mentioned a little bit about that a little while ago. But, you know, what I'm really trying to do is kind of clean up the fiction in the sense of free myself to start down a whole new path fictionally, build a whole new world, build a whole new philosophy, build a whole new kind of racial structure, you know, whatever you want to call it. And you know, exactly where I'll go next, honestly, even I don't know. I mean, I have some ideas, but, you know, exactly what they'll be like is a mystery. Even me. So the number of characters we'll see from previous Ultimas in this one is, let's see. Well, first of all, you'll see all your companions. Yellow Dupre, Chamino, all those guys will be hanging around. Of course, the British. But the amount of time, there's a fair bit of time that has passed between the two, so it's only a few of the very youngest normal people that survive. As you guys, some of you might know, the pseudoscience of Ultima is that people who travel between worlds age at the time frame of their original homeland, not the world they're in, which is why you and your companions who are from Earth have such longevity here in the fictitious world, you know, here in the fantasy world of Britannia. So Britannia has actually aged a fair bit, you know, 40, 50 years. So many of those people won't be around, but a few will. Any more questions? Yeah. Right. So the question was about how did I come out with the original 8 virtues, which is a fun story, and I'll use that as my closing story because I have to go back for another behind the desk thing. But there's an interesting story about that. It's one of my favorites, which is first we have to remember that I've been writing games like since the beginning. And it's been really interesting because I have, since the age of 19, I've been the oldest guy in this industry. I've been the oldest game creator, mostly, pretty much, a few exceptions. But I mean, literally since the beginning and still till now. It's an interesting kind of moniker to have. But in those earliest days, my first few games, like Calabeth, Ultima 1, 2, and 3, were largely just D&D hack and slash games. I mean, literally, the story was go kill the evil wizard. You go collect gold along the way to do it. Most likely, what you would do along the way is massacre the villagers who supposedly you were protecting. To go kill the big evil bad guy who's sitting up there in a castle, kind of waiting for you, who never did anything to anybody other than what you were told in the documents. And I started writing those games, you know, about the age of 14 or 15 through about the age of 21. And, you know, when you turn 21, you know, it's kind of one of those soul-searching times where you're getting out of the house, going to college, and going, haha, my parents can't make decisions for me anymore, and oh, damn, you know, I'm not sure I'm making the right decision buying this car or a home or that car. You know, girls freaking out too, and, you know, religion, you know, and then I had the extra added benefit of, since I'm writing fantasy games, I get, quote, fan mail, but I also would get, quote, religious hate mail. And so I would get mail that would literally say, you are the satanic perverter of America's youth. You know, and for, you know, a 19-year-old kid, that's kind of heavy. You know, and of course it's not true much. And so all those things were kind of happening around the time of Ultima 4. And so, you know, I was tired of telling the game of go kill the evil wizard. And quite frankly, you go check out any of my competitors, they are still writing the game You're the great hero. Go kill the evil wizard. And oh, by the way, slaughter everybody on their way while you're doing it. And but I was tired of that. And I said, you know, I can write a game that has more depth, more meaning, more social conscience. At the very least, I said, look, you know, if I'm supposed to be the hero, why are the town people helping me if I'm slaughtering them all in order to go kill the guy that hasn't done anything to them? And so that's what kind of started me on this kick. And so I sat down and I said, okay, I need to think of what are those things in life that compel people to do good deeds or bad deeds. And so I just started with like a dictionary and a piece of paper. And I started writing up on the wall, you know, greed and envy, you know, the 7 deadly sins, and love and hatred, and just good things, bad things. And ended up with this giant mosh. And I thought, well, okay, now I wanted to sort them because a lot of things are related to other things. And so I began to kind of sort down, and I needed a finite set. And I wasn't sure how big that finite set needed to be. But I ultimately came down to truth, love, and courage, which is actually 3. And I said, you know, those things are universal. They don't overlap at all. Most of the other things on the piece of paper had elements of either positives or lacks, you know, presences or lacks of those 3 things in them. Not all, but most. And then I was like, be happy to be watching The Wizard of Oz. And that's when I said, Eureka, I must be right. Because, you know, the Scarecrow, truth, you know, the Tin Man, love, the Cowardly Lion, courage. You know, I knew I must have been right. So with the confidence of Disney on behind me, I decided with truth, love, and courage are the 3 principles. But I really needed more than 3 in order to build a good set of story quests around. And so that's when I built the 3 combinations, or the 8 combinations of those 3 things. And so if you combine truth, love, and courage in 8 ways, you get truth by itself is honesty, love by itself is compassion, courage by itself is valor, truth tempered by love is justice, love tempered by courage is sacrifice, courage and truth is symbolic of honor, truth, love, and courage is spirituality, not in the sense of religion, but rather in the sense of worrying about whether you're doing good deeds or bad deeds in the world, and none of the above, which would be pride, which is not good, we split that to humility. And then I started all the kind of pseudoscience of Ultima followed suit. For example, humility being bad, so the town that I built that was centered around the 8th virtue was originally a town of pride, which we destroyed and brought up humility in its place. And so I began to have all this kind of pseudoscience and math, numerology you might call it, that really worked well within the fiction. So when I was doing that, by the way, when I was developing Ultima 4, I was thinking, man, nobody's going to dig this. I was thinking, when I ship this, people are going to laugh at me, and it's going to die. And Ultima 4 was the first #1 bestseller I ever wrote. So it was a major turning point for me and for the series. And it's been a major part of what I've ever done since then. So in any case, thank you all very much for your time. I really got to go. Appreciate it. Feel free to play the product here around the corner yourselves and such too.
Set it on top of things, like the gray suit right there. Here, I'll pick it up and try to set it up here. Well, it's too far, so you can just ruin just then. Yeah. Here, I'll do the same thing as you will. Oh yeah, it's not only that, but it tries to see if it can place it within the 3-dimensional space. There's a rat hiding behind the bush. You'll see that guy right there.
Where they've never been. Puts them in the game and lets them explore new dimensions of fun.
Here you can get off and get in.
Sorry,
Really early though. Garrett, your shift button is now a jump button.